Hallelujah, I read during May. Hello there fellow viewer, my name is Gabriel and today I am bringing you my May reading wrap-up. So compared to last month's me reading absolutely nothing, me reading anything this month would be a step up. You know when you get a test so low that anything above that would be preferable? Well, that's kind of how I feel about this month's reading. Even though I didn't read a lot, I did still read more than nothing. I read 4 novels this month and I got about halfway through another. I also read a bunch of comic books. I actually did not read one YA book this month. It was kind of a change for me. It's something I'm not used to, but hey, I still did read. Let's just get into it. The first book that I finished this month was a book I had previously mentioned on my channel, and that is City of Thieves by Benioff, and this again was recommended to me by a friend. I had been in that horrible reading slump during April and I'm like, finally a good book. In a word, this book was very, very strong. City of Thieves takes place during the Second World War in the Russian city of Leningrad. This city is surrounded by
Nazi Germans.
Nazis people. They are slowly trying to infiltrate the city, to take power over it, and to rule, add it to their list of conquered cities by force. This book tells the story of 2 young men that live in this city. You find out that they don't only fear the Germans, they also fear the Russians because their own country is in a very, very tight law thing. They can't break the law or else they die by their own country. This author structured really well. I think he got the main point when it came to writing a war novel. It really had that humor that you usually don't see in war novels. I think it comes as a surprise to the reader when you read humor in a war novel because it's such a contrast. It's hard to do it. It's a hit or miss. This guy did it. I really liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars and it was enjoyable. It's definitely not what I'm used to. It's very strong. Again, let's just say it vividly and accurately describes everything that's going on during wartime. In this city, everything is a war. War for food, war for habitat, war for territory. And these are people who know each other. Although this is historical fiction, it kind of points that some things might have been true because it's kind of a story his grandfather told him, the author. This guy actually produced Wolverine Origins, which is that X-Men movie nobody liked. The second book that I tried to finish this month was Gentleman of the Road by Michael Chabon. Let's hope I'm saying his name right. This man won the Pulitzer, not with this book, but with another one a few years back, I think in 2009. So I was expecting something very grand, something richly constructed. The Pulitzer, it's supposed to be for adults, but I think that a good book is a good book no matter age range, and unfortunately, I was let down. This world was very confusing, and the author, he really expects us to know everything already. You don't, unless there's like some other companion book that you should have read. The world is very, very confusing. I did not understand it. The characters, however, I really liked because they were very diverse. You had polar personalities, a very good cast of characters, but the world and the story just didn't feel like it was going anywhere. It was so confusing. You were in one place and then you were in another that you never knew where. It didn't work for me, and I put it down about 50-60% through. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because I just couldn't care less. If I ever got my hands on his Pulitzer winner, I would probably pick it up though. The second novel that I finished this month was another book recommended to me by the same friend that recommended City of Thieves. Translated, it is Answer Me. I read in Portuguese. I believe it was originally in Italian. The title is Rispondi-me. I don't know, that sounds like Italian. This was another very, very strong adult book. I don't know why, I just kind of laughed because this book was raw. This book was cruel and, again, very strong. I feel like the theme for this month is strong because these books really impact the reader. Answer Me is a collection of 3 short stories that each follow a completely different cast of characters and families struggling to live together. I also think this book was very philosophical because these characters ask themselves the questions that you don't want to ask yourself. There's a lot of what is love, what does it mean to be loved, and to love someone, the sacrifices you're able to make for them. What is life? Why are humans here? Why is there so much tragedy? It's again very different from what I'm used to. Linking these 3 stories is a white dog that's on the cover of the book that I read, and I don't know how you're supposed to interpret it. I interpreted the dog as God because this dog appeared when these people were struggling the most. This book also really deals with religion. Each family looks at everything differently when it comes to religion. I found it very, very diverse and very good. I don't know if I recommend it because it's a very specific book for very specific tastes. But hey, it was good. Enough for me. 4 out of 5 stars. So this kind of happened the first 10 days of March, and following the next maybe 15 days I didn't read anything, so I just went on the Marvel app and I picked out some comics. Comics are a thing I have been really wanting to get into. But if anyone knows anything about comics, is that there are 200 billion bajillion comics and you have no idea where to start. It's honestly intimidating, the number of things that you have to read in order to understand certain story arcs. It's insane, so that's why I put it off for so much time. Obviously, May was also the month of Age of Ultron. That was a very, very big incentive to start the comic book thing. So I decided to read the Civil War arc because that's the next major Marvel movie that's gonna come out. I'm really excited. The Marvel app is very handy. It has every single comic included in the arc. Suggested reading order, and you just go by reading them. So that's what I did. I read about 8 or 9, and here's the thing, I did not continue because some of them are unnecessary. Civil War arc is the biggest thing people say to have happened to Marvel Comics because it hit every single branch, every single comic book publication, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, everything was included in this story arc, and so there are just so many Civil War comic books. I am enjoying the story arc, and I do hope to continue with it before Captain America 3 comes out, which is honestly going to destroy everyone. I also read 1 through 3 of Thor, the 2007 edition when he comes back from Ragnarok. Yeah, that was fun. I only didn't continue with it because I really wanted to focus on the Civil War. I have no idea how to count these as books because a comic book is not the equivalent of a novel by far. It's like 23 pages of pictures. It's not a novel, so do with the information whatever you want. I like to count it as 4 whole novels plus 8 comic books. Tuesday came around. Tuesday was the 26th of May, I think. So about a week ago, and I said, it is unreal that I only read 2 books this month. That cannot be. I have to read more. I read nothing last month. Come on. I went to my school library and I forced myself to borrow 2 books. I read them before the month was over. By Friday, I had finished them. The first one, the shortest, and also the one that I think really took myself most to finish, was The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. You've probably heard of this. This is a huge classic in any kind of literature, really. Not gonna waste any time explaining the story, just know that it's about an old man and the sea. People say it's boring, people say it's very, very slow. I tend to agree, even though I actually enjoyed the book, I do have to agree that the pacing was a little bit slow. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was expertly written and also very philosophical. And the last book that I read this month was a reread that I most certainly enjoyed. That is Marina by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I have said time and time again that this man does not miss. This man can effing write. You finish a book of his, and I've only read 2, and you're just staring into open in awe at how someone can come up with that, and how someone can actually imagine a story like that. It's just so phenomenal. If you don't know, The Shadow of the Wind, also by this author, is my favorite book ever. It's just, read it, okay? Marina is very, very dark. Much darker than The Shadow of the Wind, even though The Shadow of the Wind has kind of a dark element to it. This is kind of like really creepy. Over a year ago, I read them back to back. I remember I liked The Shadow of the Wind more because Marina is very, very creepy, raw. It really hits you. And then it hits you more because Carlos Ruiz Zafón has admitted that this is one of his favorite novels that he's written. I don't even know how to explain it. You have to read the book. This takes place in 1975-ish to 1980, 80-something. It is Barcelona. There's this teenage guy that is tired of school. And when he has free time, he goes and explores the city, and he wanders around until one day he finds an abandoned mansion. He goes in and he finds a family of a very, very old father and his daughter. His daughter has been following a lady to the cemetery for quite a while, and she wants to know why does this lady completely covered in black the last Sunday of every month comes and deposits a blood red rose on an unnamed grave. So that is all I'm gonna say. It is very interesting, but let me warn you, it's creepy AF. The only reason I reread it is because, again, I didn't want to only read 2 books, so I picked it up. I knew that I was going to read it really fast because his stories just suck you right in. I do recommend it, but I recommend The Shadow of Duin 1,000 times more as a starting point for Carlos Ruiz Zafón. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars, simply because, again, for the millionth time, it's creepy and scary. Anyway, that is it for my May shenanigans. Thank you so much for watching. What did you read in May? What did you like best of your reading list? If you have any questions about the books that I read this month, definitely ask away. Did you like Age of Ultron? Of course you liked Age of Ultron. I will see you in my next videos. Stay tuned for them, and remember to keep your day a bookish one. Goodbye! Say to have the next maybe 15 raw, and it's that recommended that I went into my school library and I went and the first book I finished this month was a book and it's again I'm not gonna waste any time explaining City of Thieves takes